Welcome in, guys and girls. We are here with Earth Mode Dan. We are looking, obviously, at the Bundesliga and the end of season and how it's all panned out for the teams and the players. Dan, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. I'm not surprised at some of the things and very surprised at others. I think we can say it's been an entertaining season in the Bundesliga.
Yeah. I think a lot of what we talked about through the season has kind of like stayed the same and not much has kind of I think we talked a lot about the top six. There's been a bit of rotation in there. We talked a lot about kind of the bottom three. There have been some surprises at the bottom, I would say.
Yeah.
But it's been a good season, very entertaining, lots of twists and turns, I would say, even though kind of things did pan out as kind of we would expect.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to my predictions, maybe I got a couple of them wrong, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Only two, I think. Only two.
Yeah, two wrong.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll
that's
take
not
that.
bad. That's not bad. That's not bad, considering how bizarre some of those end of season results were.
Yeah.
No one could have predicted some of the capitulations that some teams had, and no one could have predicted some teams going on the results and picking up the results they did. But we'll start at the top of the table. Obviously, Bayern Munich won it. We knew Bayern Munich were going to win it. Munich always win it, and they didn't let anyone down. And I think at the end of the season, we'll touch on the players in a little bit, but Lewandowski bagging himself a goals record.
Yeah, decent, huh? Munich scoring 99 goals, Lewandowski getting 41 of them, which is a crazy statistic. That's like 41% of goals scored by Lewandowski.
Yeah.
Which could be a bit worrying if you're Bayern Munich and you're thinking, I don't know, imagine if Lewandowski left, where the goal's going to come from, because I think Müller was the second highest goal scorer with 11.
Yeah.
But yeah, they deserved to win it in the end. They were the most consistent. They only lost 4 games over the course of the season. And if you look at how or when they lost some games, it was kind of spread out very evenly. So they didn't really go through a bad patch of form.
Okay.
Yeah, their goals against isn't the best, let's say, but they are more of an attacking unit than they are defensive.
Yeah, I mean, when we look at the goals against, we can see that. I mean, Leipzig conceded significantly less. Dortmund, who lost 10 games compared to Munich's 4, only conceded 2 more, and Union Berlin conceded less goals as well, and so as did Leverkusen. So defensively, and you can tell as well, because all of the talk about people leaving Munich this year is Jerome Boateng, it is David Alaba, it is their defensive players. So obviously it looks as though Munich are going to be going for a switch up in that back line. But, as you say, they're very much focused on their attack. And as proved, 99 goals, they're going to score more than you if you do score. So,
yeah. And what they're getting in is a coach who's currently who's delivered only 32 goals against for Leipzig. So
yes,
he's probably got ideas of how he can strengthen the defense or what he can do in terms of a tactical approach to improve what they're doing defensively. So you'd expect another strong Bayern team next season with another very strong manager. So it'd be interesting to see how they do and who they bring in.
Yeah, I mean, are you surprised that they've gone for Nagelsmann from Leipzig? Bearing in mind, obviously, youngish coach, very forward-thinking club, going into somewhere that's a bit more not dated, but very historic and very structured in the way they do things, especially also with Joachim Löw becoming available after the Euros and things like that. Did you think Bayern may go for more of a Joachim Löw type of guy, or do you think Nagelsmann will be a good signing for them?
I wouldn't say it was a surprise, but as you said, the the Bayern hierarchy are very old fashioned, and the club is very very old fashioned. They tend to do better with older managers. Actually, if you think about the Niko Kovac joining a couple of years ago, a young manager having done really well. He wasn't their first choice at the time, but he was kind of the option that they had, and he didn't deliver because he didn't really fit into the way that the club was run. So he found it difficult. I think Nagelsmann is a better manager and probably more proven actually than Kovac was. So like hopefully they give him the freedom and the tools that he needs to do well there. But I think a lot of it is kind of proving yourself once you get in there as well, and not dropping too many points early in the season. Hopefully that's what you can do.
Cool. Okay. So Leipzig obviously finishing in second place. They sort of fell away drastically, losing 3 of their last 5 games. But I think we sort of said that by that point in time, Bayern had pretty much wrapped up the league. Leipzig were far enough ahead of the teams below them to not be too worried about dropping out of the top 4. And maybe the focus went a little bit because they were in the Polka final. Obviously, they lost that to Dortmund, but focus maybe went elsewhere, started to look at the Euros as well, some of the players. So to stay in second place in the end shows possibly how much other teams dropped off.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, they did have a bit of a cushion throughout the season. That cushion is they're completely gone by the end of the season, with Dortmund finishing just a point below. Even Wolfsburg were 4 points below. So they had a bit of a cushion. They dropped points at the end of the season. They only won in their last 6 games. So their heads were definitely turned. Maybe it was the manager. I mean, I don't know why they announced managers moving so early in the season. That's crazy. Maybe it was the fact that the title was out of reach. Maybe it was the fact that the Euros were coming up. Whatever happened, I think they still had a really good season. I mean, like Leipzig we've looked at across the kind of our conversations in the past shows that Leipzig don't really have that goal scorer at the moment.
No.
So to keep up for the majority of the season with Munich and to have that cushion in second place, having only scored, I know, 60 goals, is not a huge tally. But what they've done well is traditionally across the course of the season is be very solid defensively. And I think they've had a good season, but they'll be disappointed with how it's ended, especially given that they lost the cup final in kind of quite comprehensive fashion against Dortmund.
Yeah, so we move on to Dortmund, who you had predicted when we first done it, they were sat 5th, and you predicted with an element of hope, I think, that they would push on into the top 4. But Dortmund have been kind of the big players in the last 7-8 games of the season, winning all of them, winning the cup final, pushing themselves. So they're only 1 point behind Leipzig in the end as well. And it's no surprise in those 7 or 8 games, Erling Haaland has played and started pretty much all of them. Whereas before, at the start of the season, he was sometimes coming off the bench. He'd start a few, but they were almost using him more for the Champions League stuff.
Yeah. I mean, the form, 7 wins from the last 7 games. They are the form team in the division. Hopefully they can take that into next season. But they also, we talked about this last time, they had a tough run of fixtures, but with that, they also had the opportunity, right?
Yeah.
So they played and beat Wolfsburg. They played and beat Leipzig. They were one of the only teams that beat Mainz in the last few games.
Yes.
They beat Leverkusen. So they had a really good run of form, scoring a bunch of goals as well.
Yeah,
Sancho, Haaland, both contributing a lot there.
yeah,
So they looked for most of the season not to be in the running. Like their form was so patchy. It was win one, lose one, win one, lose one, win one, lose one. And now they finally picked it up. As
yeah,
you say, kind of some of the teams around them allowed that to happen. If we look at the form below them
yeah,
and one place above them, but you got to take your chances, and that's what Dortmund did.
yeah. We then look at fourth and fifth together, Wolfsburg and Frankfurt, who were at one point fairly comfortable in the top four, ended up doing their utmost to battle it out to get a Europa League place. Like they didn't want to play in the Champions League. Both of them winning two, losing two, and drawing one of their last five, but losing games they probably should have been expected to win. And Frankfurt have been relatively poor. I mean, they were third at one point and comfortable, but both of them just dropped drastically. And in the end, Frankfurt are the team who get that Europa League spot. So if Wolfsburg really want it, they're going to have to finish third in their Champions League group to give themselves a chance of winning the magical Europa League and playing football on a Thursday night.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, if you just look at the league data, Wolfsburg probably deserved it out of the two to get that fourth spot. Better defensively, just a more, I guess, a solid team. They won a game extra as well. So Frankfurt just ended up conceding too many goals, and that was their problem by the end of it. They had a number of standout players contributing to goals and assists. But yeah, as you can see, 53 goals conceded. That's kind of what you would expect from an Arsenal team, isn't it?
Yeah. And when you have we will score more than you, they only got a goal difference of plus 16, which, they did score more than the opposition, but not very often. Or not often enough. Sorry. When they got beat fairly comprehensively.
Yeah.
Leverkusen picking up that final spot for Europa League, a long way adrift, 8 points behind Frankfurt. End of season as well, not good. Winning one, drawing two, and losing two of their last five. They will be expecting to do better next season, but they still qualified for Europe, just above in the end, 2 points above Union Berlin, who, again, form-wise, last five games, 1-2 drew, 1 lost 2. No one at the top, apart from Dortmund, has really had a good end to the season.
Yeah, it's true. And I think it's just kind of, it's almost what you expect in the German league. I think it's very competitive. So any team can beat anyone. I think you've seen that one kind of Mainz beat Bayern towards the end of the season as well. But at the end of the day, the top six were the top six for most of the season as well. So you could say that they deserve to be there. Union were unlucky, like such a surprise. They came up 2 or 3 years ago and they've done so well since they've been promoted. They're now the let's say the dominant team in Berlin, which is crazy to think, but they've got a huge and very strong fan base here in Berlin. So, but yeah, I think the top six deserved it. Union unlucky. Hopefully they can continue that into next season. And very good defensively. They just needed to score a few more goals, I think.
Yeah, drew more games than they won in the end, but they drew those games without losing. So that's never a bad thing. They just need to convert a few of those into the additional points. Eighth place was Mönchengladbach, who maybe a little bit disappointed. I know they've been very good over the last few years, but kind of dropped back into that mid-table obscurity, but only 3 points behind Leverkusen. And again, end of season form 1-2, lost 3. There's a pattern here. I'm looking down and I can't see where the wins came from. It looks as though everyone beat everyone else at some point over the last half of the last few games.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Even Schalke got a win.
Yeah, even Schalke got a win, and I mean that's just crazy. That is crazy. We look further down. Stuttgart came in 9th. Freiburg, Hoffenheim. Then I would say possibly the form team of the second half of the season, if you take out Dortmund, Mainz winning a lot of games against bigger clubs and then important games at the bottom end of the table to pull themselves sort of well adrift of the relegation spots in the end, where at one point it looked like they could be going down. I think they only had maybe 8 or 9 points by the halfway point. So they've gone on one really good run of form since Christmas.
Yeah, some big wins against Werder Bremen, against Bayern Munich. They did lose against Dortmund, but as we've seen, they were the form team.
Yeah,
and they managed to beat Wolfsburg
yeah,
and not drop points against. They dropped only 2 points against Hertha. So when it mattered, they picked up points, and they had a really strong end to the season, which in the end kind of they weren't too worried about relegation.
Yeah. Below them, Augsburg. Then we had Hertha, who for a lot of the season was sort of loitering around that bottom three. But you thought they would get out. They had that game in hand and they made it count. And they came clear with a game to spare, 2 games to spare, really. Not good enough expectation-wise from Hertha, but they didn't go down. And that's, I think, at the moment, that's the main point, isn't it?
Yeah, they were in danger since the second half of the season, I'd say, and it's took them a long time to turn it around. They did have a game in hand or two, and in the end, they didn't lose. That they in the last 6 games they only lost one game, so they did what they needed to at the end of it. They did have kind of a couple of relegation battles in terms of some fixtures there, which they didn't do too badly in. So they managed to survive just about. So was it 2 points?
2 points clear of the relegation playoff place, but goal difference wise, significantly better than anyone below them.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
but they've had a lot of investment over the last couple of years, and you would expect better from them. I just wonder whether they're going to lose some key players now, just given how poor they've been. And I mean, you could say it's a club in transition. They've been changing managers a few times over the last couple of years. So maybe they just need that consistent person to come in and form a new blueprint for the club and get players on board, and hopefully they'll do a bit better.
Cool. Below them, Armenia. Armenia managed to stay up. They were your prediction to hit the relegation playoff, but they managed to stay up just. Cologne managed to pull themselves out of 17th and into that relegation spot to give themselves that hope of staying up in the Bundesliga for next season. And then the surprise story, Werder. Now, I called this when we'd done the original, and I said, what a surprise it would be to see Werder. They're in some poor form. It did not improve. They lost.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, go on. They're sorry, yeah.
Crazy. Their form was just horrendous.
Yeah.
What is it like? They've lost. Well, from what I can see here, they lost 5 in 6 of the last games. So
they ended up losing 9 of their last 10, and the other game they drew. So
crazy. Yeah. And their goal difference is not so bad when you compare it to like Schalke or Köln or Arminia. So it's certainly the second part of the season which has seen them drop like a rock, and is big news now. Schalke and Werder Bremen both being relegated. Both kind of historic Bundesliga clubs.
So 2 teams definitely down. Both have played in the Bundesliga without relegation since before Germany was unified. So the last time that they played outside of the Bundesliga was when East and West Germany had their own separate leagues. It's crazy.
Wow.
Crazy. And the least said about Schalke, the better. They did get 1 win right at the end of the season, almost like a token gift from someone. But they conceded almost as many goals as Dortmund scored, 86. Full-on Sunday league performance from Schalke. They will be relegated. And with the team that they've got and the way they've gone down, you just couldn't see them coming back up. anytime soon. Although, you get proved wrong on a regular basis. And let's just touch on one player as well. Milo Rashica of Werder Bremen last season said he did not want to leave Werder to join Villa because he didn't want to be involved in a relegation battle. Villa then finished mid-table in the Premier League. Werder get relegated. Milo Rashica, just say you don't want to leave Werder. Don't go into details. It's going to backfire and kick you in the butt at some point, mate.
He's on the phone to Villa now saying, are you still interested?
He's on the beg, 100%. And Villa will probably sign him. We will catch up with Dan to have a little look more at the players in a few minutes. Well, Dan will be back in a few minutes from your point of view, guys. We'll catch up with Dan and we'll look at the player side of things and who have been the sort of standouts over the course of the season. For now, though, thank you very much for the first part, Dan.
Thank you.
We are back with Earth Mode Dan. We are going to be having a little look now at the star players from the Bundesliga this season. I think one name really jumps out straight away, doesn't it?
Lewandowski, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolute beast.
Yeah.
Crazy.
We said in the previous part, the 41 goals this season is just ridiculous.
Yeah, man, broken Muller's record in the 90th minute of his last game of the season. So you can't say he didn't deserve it. He's had a really good season. He was out injured for a little bit, but still managed to get all the goals. And as we said, 41% of goals contributed to Bayern Munich this season, which is just insane.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at his last matches played, and he's scored in every single game.
Well, yeah. He came
3
on
against
as a
Dortmund.
Sub. Yeah, came on as a sub in his first game back after injury and scored. Then in the next game, scored after 2 minutes and ended up with a hat-trick. It's just a beast.
There's 3 hat-tricks in the last, 9 games or something. Yeah.
It's just crazy. Absolutely crazy.
I mean, I would love to have seen him how he could do in the Premier League. I don't think that's ever going to happen now, but yeah, absolutely insane striker. He did it at Dortmund in a weaker team, and he moved to Bayern and just continued to deliver there.
Yeah. And just think, had it not been for an Icelandic ash cloud, he would have been a Blackburn player.
Is that true?
Yeah, he was due to sign for Blackburn, but the Icelandic ash cloud basically meant that it was a no-fly zone for that period of time. So he went across. Dortmund wanted to speak to him as well. He went across to Dortmund and signed for them from, I think it was Lech Poznan or whoever he was playing for in Poland at the time.
Yeah.
So, so there you go. Blackburn fans, you could have still been a Premier League force. You could have had Lewandowski, but damn Icelandic ash clouds.
Wow. Yeah.
Next up, Andre Silva, a man of no goals for such a long time at various clubs, rocks up at Frankfurt, replaces essentially Sebastian Haller and the other dude, Jovic,
yeah.
And bags 28 goals for Frankfurt.
Yeah, really good. I've watched a few games of his, and his finishing and his heading ability is really good. I mean, I don't think he's the tallest, to be honest, but he still gets a few headed goals. He knows how to head a ball, but also his form at end of season has been really good as well. Pretty much scoring in every game bar 2 or 3. Yeah. In the last kind of 9 matches, so done really well and been very consistently the second highest goal scorer all season, let's say.
Yeah.
He's really helped Frankfurt they were competing for Champions League football for so long. Unfortunately, they missed out of it at the end, but he's been a big player for them. And I see a rumor that he might be going to was it Real Madrid? Like, were they
Oh,
interested?
Real Madrid surely wouldn't go and buy another Frankfurt player to flop them.
I can't. It was
I,
a big. I'm pretty sure it was a big team in Spain. I don't think was it. I don't know. I remember reading something. I was being quite surprised because he's just
okay.
had this one good season with Frankfurt.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like it's been a very good season in a team that that's probably overachieved, to be
Yes.
honest.
Most definitely. Yeah. Um, Next down the list on the scorers as well, we got Erling Haaland. So no surprise to see him in there. Probably a surprise to not see him in second place. But as we sort of said, he was flitting in and out of the team, starting 11 at the start of the season. He played in most games, but the start of the season was coming on as a sub quite a lot, and it was almost like they were trying to save him for Champions League football, where he had hammered goals in left, right, and centre. 27 goals, fantastic return. Bearing in mind, I think 6-7 weeks ago, he wasn't on the top scorers list, or he was, but he was right at the bottom end of it. So we know, just been scoring goals for fun in the last quarter of the season.
Yeah, so that's 27 goals and 27 starts. He had
Yeah,
one substitute appearance. He played less minutes than the other two players.
yeah,
So yeah, it's an incredible record. First season in Germany,
yeah,
and Dortmund gave him the opportunity to play all these games, and he's delivered on that. And
yeah.
whether he stays at Dortmund or moves on again to potentially a bigger club next season is the biggest question of the summer, I guess.
Yeah, definitely one of them. Yeah, a lot of people saying that there's a buyout clause of 150 million at the moment, but that drops to 75 million next summer. Now, and people saying, why would you pay 150 million now when you could get him for 75 next summer? Which makes sense. But I think if you're a Manchester City or a PSG and you've got that money to go and spend on a player like that, why put yourself into a bidding war next year at 75 million when loads of clubs will be interested, when you know you could go and potentially get him this year, pay more, have him for an extra year, and not have to worry about loads of competition for his signature. I think it's going to be an interesting one, definitely.
Yeah, and if you were him, what would you do?
It depends who came in. I wouldn't go to
I would
PSG.
personally wait. I'd play
Yeah,
another season with Dortmund. Like, it doesn't matter if you're going for 150 or 75, really.
from his point of
Like,
view, no, no.
and if I mean, maybe there's like a fee that he gets from that. I'm not sure, but even if there are more clubs coming in for him for the 75, then you've got more choice and you've got
Yeah,
more chance of getting the team that you want to go to.
yeah. I
Because
think at the
everyone's got
moment,
their favorite team, haven't they? And he's probably got one in his head or one or two that he really wants to.
yeah, he's already said one of his favourite teams is Man City, because obviously his dad played there, and also Leeds because his dad played there. Leeds ain't going to be able to afford him, but Man City could. So it'll be one to definitely keep an eye on. I'm like you. I think there will be lots and lots of talk about it over the summer. I'm not convinced he will necessarily go. I think there are other strikers that are going to be available that people will go for instead.
Yeah, and I think Dortmund are very, very shrewd as well. They're a little bit like Tottenham in terms of they'll only sell for the right price and at the
Yeah,
right time for them.
yeah,
And they've probably got a backup player already lined up. To be honest, so hopefully, hopefully he stays at least another season. We get to see more of him in the Bundesliga and hopefully compete against Bayern for the title, because I think it's just too soon. Don't
yeah,
leave.
yeah. Stay. Cool. So then joined fourth, Andre Kramaric and Wout Weghorst. Both of these guys have been in and around the top scorers list for sort of the last sort of 6-7 weeks at least. Wout Weghorst, as we said before, never heard of him, but he's carried on picking up a few goals for Wolfsburg.
Yeah,
And Kramaric we had heard of because he was rubbish at Leicester, but carried on scoring goals for Hoffenheim, which is pretty good because Hoffenheim, mid-table finish. Wolfsburg tailed off at the end, but both of them were still picking up goals as well. Good seasons, really, for the two of them. It'll be interesting to see what happens with them next season.
Yeah, decent.
Because you seem to see in Germany as well, what will happen is if for example, Lewandowski did go or Silva did go, the bigger clubs tend to go and sign players from the smaller clubs in Germany as a replacement. So it'd be interesting to see. I mean, we could have another Choupo-Moting situation where a rubbish footballer gets to move to big clubs because he's maybe scored against them. Ridiculous. Right. Top scorer's done. Let's move on to the assist. Thomas Muller.
Yeah, we've talked about him a lot as well. He's had another really good season. I don't actually have the numbers in front of me. Where is it, like 18 assists in the end?
18 assists in the end, yeah.
Yeah, crazy. And he also got 11 goals. He was the second highest goal scorer for Munich. So had a really good season.
Yeah.
Also, another player that's kind of in his 30s. So he's in the prime, you could say, of his career, and had another really, really good season. We talked about how versatile he is.
Yeah.
I don't know where Football Manager places him in terms of his positioning, but I'm sure he could play anywhere across the front four positions.
Yeah, I think he's actually on Football Manager. I think one of his best is he's the archetypal Ram Deuter. So, which makes sense. Less pressure on him to score, but he creates and bags goals as well, and has been recalled to the German squad.
Yeah.
So, good season for him. Philip Kostic and also Daichi Kamada, both of Frankfurt, finishing second and third with 14 and 12 assists each, which, bearing in mind, goals-wise, Frankfurt, 69 goals. I suppose they were the third top scorer. So, you may expect to see that, actually. But good seasons for those two as well.
Yeah, again, like supporting Andre Silva in terms of contributing to goals. I think there was a big reason why they did so well in the end.
Yeah.
Big performances. Good attacking options there.
Yeah. Jadon Sancho suddenly sneaks up and in. And we were sort of saying earlier about his link-up play and with Haaland. So it's no surprise that Haaland suddenly hit a purple patch of games in the Dortmund team and bagged a load of goals. And Sancho's suddenly gone shooting up on the assists listing as well. And another one, Dortmund will not want to lose in the summer.
Yeah, really, really good season in the end for Sancho. Obviously called up. Hopefully he retains a place in the final England team, because I think he's a super exciting player.
Yeah.
And he might have had maybe a slower start than people might have hoped for.
Yeah.
Or expected, but he did. Yeah. We've seen he links up really well with Haaland, and they've contributed a lot of goals together. So really exciting. Again, another one I hope stays for another season. Still very young, and we've seen Dortmund are the form team going into next season, and if they can keep some of these or all of their players together and potentially strengthen in some areas, then they could really compete with Bayern next season.
Yeah, definitely. And then finally, we've got Jonas Hoffmann in there with 11 assists as well, again, of Mönchengladbach. It's no surprise, really, to see the main people who are on the top scorers list. Those teams have also kind of got players in the assists category, just thinking of the Frankfurt, Dortmund and Bayern. But yeah, Jonas Hoffmann in there from Mönchengladbach with 11 goals as well, 11 assists as well. Not sure who he's been assisting, because Mönchengladbach finished mid-table-ish. But they did have a lot of goals. They did score a lot of goals again.
Yeah.
So
sharing the goals around a bit more than the other teams might.
Yeah. And the player who's dropped out is Joshua Kimmich, who was in there for such a long time with Munich. Obviously, we were saying, dead balls and things like that. He was obviously taking a number of those from and getting assists, and he was sat on 10 assists, but he was sat on 10 assists for weeks. And in the end, he drops out of that list.
Yeah, but still, he's had a really good season.
Yeah. Definitely.
And I think he'll definitely be in the team of the year. I haven't seen it. if it has already been announced, but he'll definitely be one of the options in there. And yeah, another really great player who we should get to see in the Euros this year.
Yeah. We kind of dropped down and the yellow red cards. No one receiving more than one red card in the Bundesliga. Alphonso Davies with one for Bayern. Jude Bellingham picked one up. Marcus Thuram. Lots of people with one red card, but actually, it looks as though majority of it is across. There's not many people not many teams that have got more than one player sent off over the course of the season. Hoffenheim seem to have had 3 or 4. Dirty Hoffenheim.
Dirty Hoffenheim, yeah.
The Millwall of German football. There we go. So that's that. Standout player for the season for you, Dan?
I mean, you can't really look beyond Lewandowski, can you?
No,
but I mean, I think we've talked about all the standout players. There's Lewandowski, Haaland. I think Sancho can be in that list. Kimmich, Müller. Silva's had a great season. I think we talked about all these players throughout the season, which just proves they've again been the most consistent as well.
Yeah.
So
there's not been gluts of stuff at any point in time. It's been consistently delivered. And I agree. I mean, to go and break a goal scoring record like one that Gerd Müller had set, Lewandowski's got to be the standout, especially as he missed 5-6 games through injury. To still manage to get that amount of goals is just unreal.
Yep.
And on that bombshell, we'll wrap up the German side of things for now. We will be back with Dan in a few weeks' time when we do our preview of the Euros and get his take on the German squad and what he thinks will happen with Germany. Will they get out of their group of death? Who knows? Will Hungary come back and bite them in the booty? Hungary, desperate to get out of that group. Maybe even just get a point. It's like England at Eurovision. Guys, been a pleasure having you on again, Dan. We will catch you very soon. For now, though, guys, thank you very much. Auf Wiedersehen.
Ciao.